Here's an introduction to your motivational speech in Sinek's style on keys to enjoying mental fullness. Imagine waking up every morning with a sense of clarity, purpose, and peace. Not because everything in your life is perfect, but because your mind is full less of stress, but of fulfillment. See, we live in a world that glorifies being busy. We fill our schedules, our inboxes, our to-do lists, but in the process we forget to fill the one thing that truly matters, our minds. Mind space and mindset, to be okay with the filler, the micro choices. Mental fullness isn't about doing more, it's about being more present, more intentional, more connected. And the good news? It's not something reserved for the lucky or the enlightened. It's a mindset, a practice, and most importantly, a choice. Today, we're going to explore the key principles that unlock mental fullness, the kind of clarity and peace that allows us to thrive, not just survive. Let's begin. Would you like me to refine this further or add a personal anecdote to make it more engaging? Clarity is the foundation of mental fullness. Without it, our minds become cluttered with distractions, obligations, and expectations that don't truly serve us. When we lack clarity, we find ourselves chasing things, status, approval, or even success, without understanding why. We say yes to commitments that drain us, pursue goals that don't align with our values, and fill our days with activities that leave us feeling empty rather than fulfilled. Defining what truly matters starts with self-awarenesses. It requires taking a step back from the noise of everyday life and asking important questions. What brings me joy? What gives me a sense of purpose? What are the things I deeply value regardless of external validation? Too often we let the world dictate our priorities, measuring success based on societal standards rather than our own internal compass. But when we are clear about what truly matters, decision-making becomes easier, stress decreases, and our mental space is freed from unnecessary burden. Clarity is not about having all the answers, it's about knowing which questions to ask. It's about stripping away the layers of expectation and obligation to reveal the core of what drives and fulfills us. When we define what truly matters, we can focus our energy on what aligns with our values rather than being pulled in 100 different directions. This doesn't mean we avoid challenges or responsibilities, but rather that we approach them with intentionality. Each action, each commitment, each choice becomes a conscious step toward a life of meaning, rather than a reaction to external pressures. Mental fullness begins when we clear the clutter and allow ourselves to focus on the essentials. It is in that clarity that we find peace, purpose, and a deeper connection to the things that truly make life worth living. Being present is one of the most powerful yet underrated skills in achieving mental fullness. In today's world, our attention is constantly being pulled in multiple directions. Notifications, deadlines, social media, and endless to-do lists. We are physically in one place, but mentally elsewhere, thinking about the past, worrying about the future, or simply distracted by external noise. This constant state of mental fragmentation leaves us feeling exhausted, unfulfilled, and disconnected from the very moments that make life meaningful. Mastering the art of presence starts with intention. It requires recognizing that the present moment is the only one we truly have control over. When we are fully engaged in what we are doing, whether it's a conversation, a task, or even a moment of stillness, we experience life more deeply. Instead of rushing through experiences just to check them off a list, we absorb them, appreciate them, and allow them to shape us. This shift in awareness not only enhances our experiences, but also reduces stress and anxiety, as our minds are no longer occupied with unnecessary worries. One of the biggest obstacles to presence is multitasking. We often believe that doing multiple things at once makes us more productive, but in reality, it scatters our focus and diminishes the quality of our engagement. True presence means giving our full attention to one thing at a time. Listening without thinking of what to say next, working without constantly checking our phone, or simply breathing without rushing to the next task. It is in these moments of deep engagement that we cultivate mental clarity and emotional balance. Training ourselves to be present is not about perfection. The quality of our thoughts is directly influenced by the quality of what we consume. Every day we are bombarded with an overwhelming amount of information, news, social media updates, opinions, advertisements, and endless streams of content. Without control over what enters our minds, we risk filling our mental space with negativity, comparison, and distractions that drain our energy rather than enrich our lives. Just as we are mindful of the food we eat for physical health, we must be intentional about the information we consume for mental wellness. Filtering our inputs begins with awareness. Many of us passively absorb information without questioning its impact. We scroll mindlessly, watch whatever is trending, and engage in conversations that do not serve our growth. But when we pause and assess what we are taking in, we start to recognize patterns. We start to recognize patterns. Are we surrounding ourselves with voices that uplift, or those that create self-doubt? Or those that create self-doubt? Becoming intentional about what we allow into our minds empowers us to replace the noise with meaningful, purposeful input. One of the most effective ways to control our mental diet is to set boundaries. This could mean limiting social media usage, curating our news sources, choosing books and podcasts that align with our values, or being selective about the conversations we participate in. Every piece of information we consume either adds value or takes it away. By consciously choosing sources that encourage learning, growth, and positivity, we create an environment where our minds can thrive. Mental fullness is not just about filling our minds, it is about filling them with the right things. When we become intentional about what we consume, we gain clarity, reduce anxiety, and cultivate a mindset that supports our well-being. Our minds, just like our bodies, need rest to function at their best. Yet, in a world that glorifies productivity, rest is often seen as a luxury rather than a necessity. We push ourselves to exhaustion, believing that being busy equates to being successful. But when we fail to prioritize mental rest, we don't just feel tired. We become overwhelmed, unfocused, and emotionally drained. True mental fullness requires intentional pauses, moments where we allow our minds to breathe and reset. Mental rest doesn't just mean sleep, though quality sleep is a crucial part of it. It also means creating space for stillness, reflection, and disengagement from constant stimulation. Many of us fill every free moment with distractions, scrolling through our phones, checking emails, or consuming endless content. But these habits keep our minds in a state of hyperactivity rather than true rest. To recharge mentally, we need to allow ourselves time away from screens, noise, and pressure, engaging in activities that restore rather than deplete us. One of the most effective ways to prioritize mental rest is to build intentional pauses into our daily routine. This can be as simple as taking short breaks throughout the day, practicing deep breathing, going for a walk without distractions, or engaging in meditation. Giving our minds permission to slow down allows us to process thoughts, reduce stress, and regain clarity. Without these moments of mental reset, we risk operating on autopilot, moving through life without true awareness or joy. Rest is not unproductive, it is the foundation of sustained energy, creativity, and resilience. The more we allow ourselves to step back, recharge, and reset, the more we can show up fully present, engaged, and ready to embrace life with clarity and purpose. Gratitude is one of the simplest yet most powerful shifts we can make to achieve mental fullness. In a world that constantly pushes us to want more, do more, and be more, it's easy to focus on what's missing rather than what we already have. This mindset keeps us trapped in a cycle of dissatisfaction, always chasing the next thing in hopes of feeling fulfilled. But when we consciously choose gratitude, we shift our focus from lack to abundance, from frustration to appreciation, and from stress to peace. Gratitude isn't about ignoring challenges or pretending everything is perfect. It's about recognizing that even in difficult moments, there is something to be thankful for. When we train ourselves to notice the good, the lessons in failure, the support from others, the simple joys in everyday life, we create a mindset that fosters resilience and contentment. Gratitude changes how we interpret our experiences. Instead of seeing obstacles as setbacks, we begin to see them as opportunities for growth. Instead of dwelling on what we don't have, we start valuing what we do. Practicing gratitude is a habit, and like any habit, it requires consistency. One of the most effective ways to cultivate it is to start each day by reflecting on a few things we're grateful for. Writing them down, saying them out loud, or simply taking a moment to acknowledge them trains our brain to seek out the positive. Over time, this rewires our thinking, making gratitude our default perspective. The more we practice, the more we realize that fulfillment doesn't come from acquiring more, but from appreciating what is already present in our lives. A grateful mind is a full mind, one that finds peace, joy, and meaning in the here and now, rather than in some distant future. Boundaries are essential for protecting our mental energy and maintaining a sense of balance in our lives. Without them, we allow external pressures, demands, and expectations to dictate how we feel and where we focus our attention. Many people struggle with setting boundaries because they fear disappointing others or missing out on opportunities. But the truth is, when we fail to set limits, we end up exhausted, overwhelmed, and disconnected from what truly matters. Mental fullness is not about doing everything for everyone. It's about knowing where to invest our energy and when to step back. One of the most important aspects of setting boundaries is recognizing that our time, energy, and emotional well-being are valuable resources. Just as we wouldn't give away all our money without careful thought, we shouldn't give away our mental energy to every demand that comes our way. This means learning to say no without guilt, limiting interactions that drain us, and being intentional about where we direct our focus. Boundaries are not selfish. They are necessary for maintaining clarity, peace, and self-respect. Creating boundaries also involves setting limits on external influences that disrupt our mental balance. This could mean establishing work-life separation, limiting screen time, or avoiding conversations that bring unnecessary negativity. It's about protecting our inner space so that we can function at our best. When we allow ourselves to be constantly available, responding to every message, agreeing to every request, or engaging in every argument, we leave no room for mental rest or reflection. Enforcing boundaries takes practice, but the more we commit to them, the more we reclaim control over our own well-being. They help us filter out what doesn't serve us, leaving more space for the people, experiences, and pursuits that truly align with our values and bring us fulfillment. The people we surround ourselves with have a profound impact on our mindset, emotions, and overall well-being. Our relationships either uplift and energize us or drain and deplete us. When we cultivate positive relationships, those built on trust, encouragement, and mutual respect, we create an environment that supports our mental fullness. On the other hand, if we allow negativity, toxicity, or constant criticism into our lives, we risk carrying unnecessary emotional burdens that hinder our growth and peace of mind. Building strong, positive relationships starts with intentionality. It requires us to assess the people in our lives and recognize who genuinely supports and inspires us. Are we surrounded by individuals who bring out the best in us, challenge us to grow, and celebrate our successes? Or do we find ourselves constantly drained by those who gossip, complain, or diminish our confidence? The energy we absorb from others directly influences how we feel and think. Choosing relationships that align with our values and aspirations ensures that we are feeding our minds with positivity rather than toxicity. A key aspect of cultivating positive relationships is also being the kind of person we seek in others. If we want supportive friends, we must be supportive. If we want honesty and kindness, we must practice the same. Relationships thrive on mutual effort, communication, and understanding. Investing in those who genuinely care, offering kindness without expectation, and surrounding ourselves with people who believe in us creates a cycle of positive energy that strengthens mental resilience. Letting go of unhealthy relationships is just as important as fostering positive ones. While it can be difficult to distance ourselves from negativity, doing so frees up space for relationships that truly nourish our mental and emotional well-being. The people in our lives should add value, not chaos, helping us build a mindset that supports clarity, growth, and fulfillment. Living with intention means aligning our actions with our values and purpose, rather than simply reacting to circumstances. Too often we move through life on autopilot, following routines, meeting expectations, and checking off tasks, without asking ourselves why we do what we do. This lack of intentionality leads to a sense of emptiness as we spend our energy on things that do not truly fulfill us. When we begin to live with purpose, every decision, every commitment, and every effort becomes meaningful, contributing to a greater sense of mental fullness. Intentional living starts with self-reflection. It requires us to ask important questions. What truly matters to me? What kind of person do I want to be? What impact do I want to make? By clarifying our values and priorities, we create a personal compass that guides our choices. Instead of being pulled in every direction by external pressures, we become proactive in designing a life that aligns with our beliefs and aspirations. This shift in mindset allows us to invest our time and energy into things that bring genuine fulfillment rather than fleeting satisfaction. One of the most effective ways to align actions with purpose is to set clear intentions each day, whether it's being fully present with loved ones, dedicating time to personal growth, or choosing to respond to challenges with patience. Small intentional acts shape the way we experience life. It's not about grand gestures or major life changes. It's about consistently making choices that reflect what we value most. When we live with intention, we gain clarity, confidence, and a deeper connection to our daily experiences. Life no longer feels like a series of tasks to complete, but rather a journey of purpose-driven actions that contribute to lasting fulfillment and mental peace. Self-compassion is the foundation of mental fullness because it shapes the way we treat ourselves in moments of struggle, failure, or self-doubt. Many of us hold ourselves to unrealistic standards, expecting perfection and criticizing ourselves when we fall short. This constant self-judgment creates stress, anxiety, and a sense of never being good enough. But when we practice self-compassion, we replace harsh inner dialogue with kindness, understanding, and patience, allowing ourselves to grow rather than break under pressure. Being kind to ourselves starts with awareness. It requires recognizing the voice in our heads and asking whether we would speak to a friend the same way we speak to ourselves. Too often we extend grace to others, but deny it to ourselves. Self-compassion means acknowledging our imperfections without letting them define us. It means understanding that setbacks are part of growth, mistakes are opportunities to learn, and struggling does not make us weak, it makes us human. Practicing self-compassion doesn't mean avoiding accountability or settling for less. It means treating ourselves with the same respect and encouragement we would offer someone we care about. This could look like giving ourselves permission to rest when we're overwhelmed, reframing negative thoughts with a more supportive perspective, or simply reminding ourselves that we are doing our best. Every act of self-kindness strengthens our emotional resilience and creates space for mental peace. The way we treat ourselves directly impacts our ability to enjoy life, connect with others, and pursue our goals with confidence. When we replace self-criticism with self-compassion, we cultivate a mindset of growth rather than fear, making room for fulfillment, joy, and a deeper sense of mental clarity. Simplicity is a powerful key to mental fullness because complexity often leads to stress, overwhelm, and unnecessary distractions. In a world that constantly pushes us to do more, have more, and achieve more, we can easily find ourselves burdened by commitments, possessions, and thoughts that do not serve us. The more we accumulate, whether it's material things, obligations, or mental clutter, the harder it becomes to focus on what truly matters. Simplifying our lives allows us to create space for clarity, peace, and a greater sense of fulfillment. Simplicity starts with intentional choices. When we simplify, we give ourselves permission to let go of what no longer serves us, whether it's toxic relationships, unnecessary commitments, or self-imposed expectations. This process is not about deprivation, it's about focusing on what truly enriches our lives. A simple life also extends to the way we think. Overthinking, worrying about things beyond our control, or holding on to past regrets takes up valuable mental space. By learning to let go of unproductive thoughts, we free our minds for creativity, joy, and meaningful connections. Small shifts, like decluttering our environment, prioritizing meaningful work over busy work, and embracing stillness, allow us to experience life with greater presence and appreciation. When we simplify, we gain mental clarity, emotional balance, and a deeper connection to the things that bring us genuine joy. True fulfillment comes not from adding more to our lives, but from making space for what truly matters. Mental fullness is not something we find by accident. It is something we cultivate through intentional choices, daily habits, and a commitment to protecting our inner peace. In a world that constantly demands more from us, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, distracted, and disconnected from what truly matters. But when we take control of our mental space by seeking clarity, practicing presence, filtering our inputs, prioritizing rest, and embracing gratitude, we create the conditions for a fulfilled and meaningful life. The key to mental fullness is not in doing more, but in focusing on what truly enriches us. It's about setting boundaries that protect our energy, surrounding ourselves with relationships that uplift us, and aligning our actions with our values. It's about practicing self-compassion and letting go of unnecessary complexity so that we can make room for clarity, purpose, and joy. At the heart of it all is a simple truth. We have the power to shape our own mental environment. By being intentional with our thoughts, choices, and relationships, we can shift from feeling mentally drained to feeling mentally fulfilled. Mental fullness is not about waiting for the perfect moment or external circumstances to change. It's about making the conscious decision every single day to create a life that supports our well-being, growth, and peace.